more muscle you have, the faster your metabolism is.
It will trigger a high stress response and make it hard to lose weight.
It will reduce bingo wins, it will flatten your stomach.
If that's your sole type of exercise you do, what's going to end up happening is you're going to start to lose more and more muscle.
This increase is 3 times more for women than it is for men.
Hello, and welcome to the Trinity Fit Over 40 podcast with me, Rob Burkhead.
And me, Ben Hughes. We are the co-founders of Trinity Transformation and creators of the Fit Over 40 method. And together with our world-class coaching team, we've helped more than 7,000 women over 40 to fit back into their favorite clothes over the past decade. For more information about what we do, go to www.fit40info.com.
So today's episode is the second part in a series all about why you're not losing weight around menopause. And today's episode is all about exercise.
We speak to loads of women in their 40s and 50s who are looking to drop a dress size or two, but struggling to see any movement with their weight since approaching menopause. They are trying all the plans, all the programs which work for them in their 20s and 30s, but then stepping on the scales at the end of the week and seeing zero movement. This can be really frustrating. It can leave people feeling completely trapped, dreading going on beach holidays, no longer enjoying shopping for clothes, worrying that they'll never lose that excess weight or that those extra pounds around the middle are just a part of the aging process they're going to have to accept. And that's never a nice place for anyone to be. And one of the main reasons this happens is the physical and hormonal changes that women go through around menopause, which can make it easier to gain weight around the middle and more difficult to lose it again with normal methods of diet and exercise. But the good news is there's a surprisingly quick and easy way to escape from this situation, and it just comes down to avoiding a few simple mistakes that most people make.
So one of the most unhelpful things people say to women around menopause about exercise is to just do the type of exercise you enjoy. And this is so unhelpful because your body is not the same as it was in your 20s or 30s. In your 20s or 30s, you can pretty much do any type of exercise and see reasonable results. Your body retains muscle easily, and it can lose fat just by doing a bit more activity. It doesn't really matter what. However, when your body and hormones are changing for women over 40 typically, so from perimenopause onwards, this is kind of like telling someone at work to use whatever software you enjoy using, even if it's totally inappropriate for the job. So it could be you're writing a report and you like Microsoft Excel. If you try and write a report in Microsoft Excel, it's going to look pretty weird and it's going to be very hard for someone else to read. If you're trying to do your company accounts and you do them in Microsoft Outlook, email software, again, it's going to be a complete mess and not going to work. It's going to take a very long time and the results are going to be very, very bad. And this is what most people are doing when it comes to exercise around menopause. They're doing something that's very time consuming and not very effective. So today we're going to explain why that happens, why things that used to work don't work anymore, and what to do instead.
So from around age 40, significant changes happen physiologically. So one of the changes is the sensitivity to the stress hormone cortisol increases with age, and this increase is 3 times more for women than it is for men. If cortisol levels are too high, it makes losing weight very difficult as it leads to 3 major problems. First one is leptin resistance, which causes increased cravings and not feeling full even after eating. The second one is insulin resistance, which makes it harder to lose weight, especially from around the middle. And the third one is thyroid deregulation. And this slows your metabolism down, meaning you have to eat a lot less in order to lose weight. We've kind of coined all of these 3 changes that happen, leptin resistance, insulin resistance, and thyroid deregulation, as what's known as kind of the weight gain triangle. And this basically makes it easier for women over 40 to gain weight and more difficult to lose that weight again. There's also changes in the female sex hormones, estrogen and progesterone, which start to happen even years before clinical menopause. So up to kind of 10 years before clinical menopause. These can lead to joint aches and pains. Things like bad knees, bad back, bad shoulders are very common. It can lead to mobility issues. We've had many clients that we've worked with who have suffered from tennis elbow or frozen shoulder. And these are both made worse as well, all of these joint issues, if you are carrying a bit of extra weight, as the more weight you're carrying, the more load you're putting through your joints. And then that can cause more inflammation and more pain for you. Another change that happens for women physiologically and for all people physiologically as they get older is muscle mass and bone density decreases with age, but this effect will be more significant for women around menopause. And if you don't do anything to counteract it, your muscle mass and your bone density are going to just steadily decrease, which can lead to feeling less toned, feeling more flabby. It can lead to having less shape in your body. It can lead to feeling weaker, having poorer balance, being less energetic. When your bone density decreases, that can lead to osteoporosis, which means you've got porous bones, which can then cause serious issues as you get older. And it will also lead to a slower metabolism, as the more muscle you have, the faster your metabolism is. So the less muscle you have, the slower your metabolism will be. So essentially, for women over 40, lots of changes happen to the body physiologically, which basically make it more difficult to do exercise, easier to gain weight, and they'll also can lead to future health complications from things like osteoporosis and muscle mass loss as you get older. So, Rob, what can people do? It sounds a bit doom and gloom so far. What can people do to kind of avoid the negative effects of all these physiological changes?
Yeah, so the good news is you can pretty much counteract all of this with the right approach. It's all about making sure you're working with your changing body and with your changing hormones around menopause. And what we want to do, there's kind of 3 key things we want to do, is first of all, pick a type of exercise that's going to keep cortisol levels low to moderate, as this can put the body in a state where it can lose weight more effectively. And this can put the body in a state where it can't lose weight effectively if cortisol is too high. So we want to make sure we're keeping those cortisol levels low to moderate. Second thing is we want to do something that doesn't overload the joint, as if your joints are really sore or you get injured, it usually leads to giving up and not being consistent. And then the third thing we want to do is to pick something that's going to help us to maintain or even ideally build muscle mass and maintain or build bone density. And both of these things can be reversed, even if you've not picked the right thing up until now. And this will help to keep your metabolism high and maintain your health as you get older. It's really, really essential you do this. And the thing is, this rules out a lot of exercise. So it rules out things like long distance cardio, for example, things like running, things like cycling. These are good for improving cardiovascular fitness, so that heart health, but that's pretty much where the benefits end around menopause. If that's your sole type of exercise you do, what's going to end up happening is you're going to start to lose more and more muscle, because these are both what's called catabolic. When you do more than 30 minutes of them, they start to burn your muscle. That'll make you flabbier, saggier, less toned, all those things you talked about, Ben. If you're fed up with trying everything and seeing no results,
watching your weight creeping up and struggling to fit into your clothes,
and you're looking for the fastest and easiest way to get your ideal weight
and never have to worry about your weight or health again,
you can save yourself years of trial and error by letting us take care of the hard work for you in our Fit Over 40 private coaching program.
Over the past decade, our world-class team have personally guided more than 7,000 women to take back control of their health and confidence, and more importantly, maintain those results for life.
If you're ready to finally get results at last and find out how we can help you do that too, click the link in the description below to get the full details now. The other thing with long distance cardio is they can be quite high impact. So if you're running for long distances, you're going to be slamming your joints into the pavement for hours and hours a week. And you can get away with that again in your 20s or 30s when you have all that estrogen lubricating your joints and keeping inflammation low, and your joints aren't as worn, frankly. But if you're doing this as you're getting older, you're just going to wear your body out more quickly, especially if you're carrying extra weight. If you're carrying extra weight and running, you put 4 to 7 times your body weight through each knee. So for our typical client who starts about 12 stone, 80 kilos, that's the equivalent of running with a grand piano on your back, in terms of the joints through your knees, or walking around with a grand piano on your back, sorry. And the last issue with this long distance cardio is it's extremely stressful for the body. So it's very likely to trigger that weight gain triangle we talked about earlier. There's a big stress response for it, which will lead to really high cortisol levels and make fat loss much more difficult. So you'll typically end up with this sort of menopause belly, this cardio body where you're storing fat around the middle. You're really struggling to lose it, even though you're doing lots of exercise, and probably exercise that used to help you maintain your weight. So it rules out long distance cardio, first of all. It's not to say you can never do it, but you want to get in the shape, in really good shape with really good muscle mass first, and then sprinkle in a little bit of cardio after that. But it should not be your main exercise if you're not in the shape you already want to be in. And then the second one is HIIT training and gym classes. So high intensity interval training specifically. And that can be things like body pump, body attack, circuits classes. And these are great for people who are younger, who are in their 20s and 30s, their hormones are optimal and aren't carrying any excess weight. You can get fit quite quickly, and there's a lot of evidence showing this. The evidence doesn't stack up around menopause, though. So what will happen is instead you'll overstress the body, and you can also overstress the joints. So if you're doing lots of things like burpees and box jumps, you could potentially injure yourself, and then you're going to stop exercising and you're going to gain more weight. And then the other thing that will happen is if it's really, really stressful on the body, which this typically is, it will trigger a high stress response and make it hard to lose weight. So we want to avoid these short and long distance types of cardio, especially at the beginning. You might be able to sprinkle them in later as you get fitter, as you get your muscle back, as you get your bone density back, as you get your mobility back. But those things are not going to help with those at all. And there's a lot of other better ways to exercise that we have seen work so much better with clients. So Ben, what is best? What works most effectively for women around menopause?
This is all based on our experience, having coached over 7,000 women over the past decade. But what we would say by far and away works the best is low impact strength training, or LIST, which is what we call it, LIST inside of our program. And that's by far the most effective method for women in their 40s, 50s, and beyond. So what this involves is slow, controlled movements, lifting weights, for low to medium repetitions. So what we're talking about is between, say, 5 repetitions to maybe 15 repetitions, somewhere in that rep range. So if you're doing anything where you're aiming for like 10 repetitions on a certain movement, which would mean, you do 10 squats, then you have a rest, then you do another set of 10 squats, then you have a rest, then you do another set of 10 squats. That's kind of the structure we're looking for. Not things, people often ask, I do this gym class and we use weights in it. We're not really talking about that. So if it's lifting light weights and doing hundreds and hundreds of repetitions, just doing loads and loads and loads and loads of movement with a very light weight, that's not going to do the trick really. And you basically need to be using a moderate to heavy weight, which is heavier than most people think. And most of our clients, they're surprised by how strong they actually are, especially in the lower body, and they can often use more weight than they think they were able to. So the benefits of this is, firstly, it keeps stress on the body low, meaning you avoid that chronically high cortisol level and your body stays in an optimum state for losing weight, especially if you're doing this alongside a busy job, busy family life, and you have a stressful life in general as well, which most of our clients do. The second thing that's really good about LIST is it builds muscle, which will tone you up all over. It will reduce bingo wins. It will flatten your stomach. It will firm up your bum. And all of that together, that increase in muscle mass, will increase your metabolism, meaning you can eat more food and you can still lose weight easily. The other thing about it is it's very efficient. So our clients only train 3 times a week for about 30 to 45 minutes. And they will typically lose 1 to 2 stone over a 12-week period. We've looked at our results, and 97% of our clients will see results over their first 12 weeks. The average weight loss with our clients is 12.9 pounds as well over that first kind of 12-week period. And this can all be done from home, so you don't need to waste time commuting to and from a gym. It can be done with very simple, basic equipment, so you don't need a full home gym to make this happen. You can do it with very simple equipment like just kettlebells. There is no jumping around. It's not high impact on the joints, and that means it's got a low injury risk, and it will still improve your cardio fitness as well. So you'll find that it still gets your heart rate up and it will still boost your cardio fitness without all of the drawbacks that come with some of those other forms of exercises like cardio. So by far and away, LIST training or low impact strength training, if you take one thing away from this podcast, it would be that. Focus on that kind of weight training approach 3 times a week. And probably just by making that one change, that will probably be enough to start you seeing some results.
And we've had thousands of clients follow this approach. And as you said, Ben, they typically lose 1 to 2 stone and 1 to 2 dress sizes within 12 weeks and find it way easier to maintain long-term. So we have clients who lost all the weight 2, 3, 4 years ago and are still maintaining it because of the metabolism benefits and all the other benefits that come from this that you don't get from the cardio. And a good analogy for this is, we say it's kind of like investing. You get compounding interest over time. The more you invest, the more money you get kind of made automatically. With strength training, it's the same thing. The more muscle you build, the more bone density you build, the easier it is to stay in shape longer term as well. And a great example of this is one of our clients, Helen. She's a doctor and she's age 57. She's also a mum of 2 girls. And she went from doing 1 to 2 gym classes every day, so could be 7 to 14 gym classes, a lot of body pump a week, and she was steadily gaining weight, as you'll hear in a minute, to just 3 list sessions a week for 30 to 45 minutes, and she lost 2 stone and 5 inches off her waist. So Helen said, before I started Trinity, I was pretty fed up with the way I felt in relation to my body. My weight had gradually crept up to nearly 80 kilos. I was thickening around my middle and buying bigger sizes in clothing 14 to 16. Even my family had commented on my weight gain. I felt I was relatively fit, an active member of 2 gyms, doing regular classes like body attack, body pump, hit step, balance, yoga, and Pilates, going at 6:45 a.m. and often after work too. I walked quite a bit and did at least 5,000 steps a day. To me, my diet was healthy. I'd often feel hungry mid-afternoon, but was careful with snacks. I'd generally have a glass of wine in the evening once home. Work was busy, fast-paced, often stressful, and full of decision-making. I didn't have proper breaks and used to eat at my desk or on the run. Sleep quality was poor. Things would be going through my head from the day, and I'd struggle to drop off to sleep. I'd always wake up around 3 a.m. and I could never drop back to sleep. I had palpitations and night sweats, and my mind was on the go. I tried to meditate, but when work was busier, this lapsed. The more I tried to concentrate myself to lose some weight, not following any specific diet, but being careful, the more I would find myself thinking about food. I was frustrated and resigned to the fact I was developing middle-age spread and nothing would work. I felt I knew enough about weight loss being related to more calories out than in, sensible exercise, and what a healthy diet entailed. However, in just over a year with Trinity, weight-wise, I've lost 13 kilos, which is over 2 stone, and size-wise, I've lost 12 centimeters from my waist and 10 centimeters from my bust. Clothes-wise, I've dropped 1 to 2 dress sizes, and I've had a lot of comments about how well I look, with people noting that I've lost weight, look slim and toned, and I feel able to confidently wear a bikini and more fitted clothing. But this is more than just about weight or size, though. I feel so much better in myself energy-wise, confidence-wise, and mentally. I enjoy my list workouts, it's part of my routine, and I cancelled a gym membership. My strength has improved. I can do 8 full push-ups, when at the start I couldn't do 1, and I have a current goal for 10. My intuition with food has improved, I sleep so much better, my menopausal symptoms are virtually abated, and I embrace meditation and have reduced anxiety levels. My mindset has totally changed. I feel much happier and satisfied with life. I've rekindled a hobby in golf, reconnected with friends, and made new friends. I've achieved major changes and improved my life at work, including reducing my hours and altering my role, which has been unimaginable. I love the support from the Trinity community groups and belief that my coach has in me to help me achieve my transformation. I was stuck before Trinity. It's now integral to my daily life.
Excellent. And if you want to find out more about Fit Over 40 and about our private coaching, the exact approach that Helen and thousands of other women have used to achieve unprecedented results around menopause, just head over to www.fit40info.com and you can find all of the information you need on that page.
Awesome. So that just about wraps up for today's podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll catch you next time for another episode in this series, and we shall see you then.
Imagine living in a home that you've cherished for years.
You've done your best to keep it in good condition,
But no matter how much you clean, paint, or repair,
the problems keep piling up.
the cracks are showing, the roof is leaking, and it feels like everything is getting worse despite your best efforts.
For many women, losing weight around menopause feels just like that,
You've tried diets, workouts, and advice,
where the results don't come and the frustration keeps growing.
That's where our Fit Over 40 private coaching program comes in.
Think of us as your expert renovation team.
We know exactly how to fix the root issues, rebuild your confidence, and create lasting results, just like restoring a home to its best condition.
If you're ready to finally see results that last, click the link in the description below now. Let us help you restore the body and the life you deserve.